was unbelievable is we never, listen to this now, we never ever made anybody wait when they were in pain. Now that's pretty hard to say, isn't it? Never ever, she'll tell you, when they were in pain, I said, where are you? Gran and Olive? Get in your car and get on over here. I'm getting ready to go home for dinner, but I'll stay here. Never let anybody have any pain. That's a fact. Okay, now that maybe that's not very important, but it was to us because we did our job. Nobody has to pay you. You do your job. You get paid because you do your job. So anyway, we had a very good relationship, and she was trained by me. She don't believe it, but she was trained by me, and she got some good training. She was excellent. But that's the problem with Kathleen. Whatever she does, it's excellent. Now, how can you live with somebody like that? Huh? I'm not perfect, but everything she did, honestly, was excellent. Now, she had other doctors, big-time doctors, important doctors who were well-known, you know, in surgery and orthodontia and all that stuff. And she always became the best person in the office. She always was the one that filled all the cotton in the thing. The other girls would come in, hungover. Kathleen had been there an hour before, cleaned up the joint and put all the stuff in there. She didn't get paid more than they did, that's for sure. But that was her attitude. And it's always been that way. And so now, this whole thing she's done, this building, this condo, you know, perfect. And that's the way she operates. So let's get back to the other stuff, which was the illness. Now, we had a very good life. We did. I mean, we go on vacations, and if we can buy something if you want it. We don't really need much. And but she's got she can't buy it the first time. If she sees a sweater, she'll come out to the car. I always sit in the car a lot of times. She'll say, oh, I saw a sweater that really was pretty. I said, why didn't you buy it? She said, no, I really don't need it. Okay, so we go through that quite often. Till she buys a pair of shoes, and you can have a nervous breakdown. So anyway, to get back to the other point of the story, the point of the story was the illness. That is the best part of the story, because I was in good health. You know, I never was off work in all those years. You got to be thankful for that. And I was never sick. I had a cold maybe once a year, who knows. But then one day, this was the darnest thing. One day I got a little bitty sore. It was about a little bitty sore on this ankle. Well, I've had diabetes 45, 50 years, who knows. But I was very lucky, a few pills in the morning, a few pills at night. Never did take insulin, which is unusual in all those years. I never failed taking those pills, and I got along real good. So I showed her this thing, and she's got upset, of course. Diabetes is one of the worst diseases there is. People don't know that. If you have something wrong and they can operate, you're okay. They'll operate and you'll get better and you go about your business. Diabetes don't get any better. Once you got it, you got it. That's it. It's a horrible disease. Now, we've seen a lot of little kids, 5, 6 years old. You know, they have to watch their diet the rest of their life. They can't eat any sugar of any kind. You know, and that's bad. I got what's called adult diabetes. So that's not too bad. That's okay. So anyway, she sees this little sore there, and she says, we got to get that looked at. I don't know how she found this doctor who's supposed to be a specialist in this kind of disease. Well, for me? Oh, that's terrible. So anyway, he's over here in the hospital, and we go over there right away, and he looks at it, and he says, yeah, you got to get a special pair of shoes. That's your problem here. And I said, yeah, well, where do you get those? Well, there's a place on Manchester Road excuse me, that makes shoes for diabetics so that they don't have the pressure of the shoe on the sole. Oh man, I made a few mistakes in my life, but that was the biggest one I ever made. We go right over there from the doctor's office, and we get a guy who's supposed to be a specialist in making these shoes. So he's going to measure me and put concrete on there to get, so he can make a mold, you know. In the meantime, that sore is wide open there. So he finally gets all screwing around. He's going to make me a pair of tennis shoes and a pair of regular shoes. But he can't get the regular shoes for a while, so he says, but these tennis shoes will be temporary and you could use them. Well, we don't know what we're doing. We've never been through this before. The guy's supposed to know what he's talking about. We take the tennis shoes and we put it on. We go drive home. By the time I get home, the pain is unbelievable. This is so festered and infected. You wouldn't believe it. Just from driving home. So we take the darn thing off, you know, the tennis shoe, because I can't wear it. And if I'm not mistaken, we go back to work the next day, even though I'm in such a mess. Then a funny thing happens. I think the Lord, there is such a thing. You know, I don't believe these other people tell me there ain't. There is such a thing. I'm at work. Kathleen's up there because I'm so beat up. She's helping me. I can't hardly manage. So one of my appointments is my doctor, my medical doctor. You want some water? Huh? It's over there.
Yeah. It's okay. I do this.
You want a cough drop? I got some good ones here. Okay. Well, that's on the picture. This is not exactly a director's dream, is it?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, as luck would have it, that's why I'm telling you I believe in God. My medical doctor has an appointment to have his teeth looked at. And he sees me stomping around, limping. He says, what's going on here? I says, oh, I got this darn sore on my ankle. And he says, well, do you mind if I look at it? He's a good friend. You know, we've worked on him for 30, 40, 50 years, who knows. His mother and father and his kids and everything. He says, you mind if I look at that? And I said, no, I don't mind. Take off my shoe. Boy, he says, that's pretty ugly. He says, I recommend you go home early tonight and have Kathleen take your temperature. And when you get home, and several times again. And he says, if you have any temperature at all, I don't care how little, any temperature, you're to call me at home, and I'll tell you what to do. Well, I get home, and man, I'm so exhausted, I can't even eat. So I flop in bed. And I wake up in about an hour or so, I guess. And Kathleen comes in with the thermometer, sticks it in there. Well, see, when I was around, I would always say 100 degrees is nothing to worry about. You know? He said to her, any degree above 98.6, you are to call me. Well, it's 101. So I think, well, I could put some ice on my head or something. She goes in the kitchen, calls the doctor. He says, he's got a 101. The doctor says, pack him up and take him to the emergency room down at Barnes Hospital. I said, we haven't even eaten yet. He says, have her pack you up and take you down to Barnes Hospital. Well, we didn't know it was an emergency, you know. So she does that. Did we have any clothes with us? No, we didn't even have any clothes. So we go down to Barnes Hospital and we go to the emergency room. He'd already called and talked to the guy there. And he gets me on the gurney, you know, in the operating room. And he sees what it is. And he gets a, like a shoehorn, only it's thin metal, like a shoehorn. And he starts working on this thing. And by the time we got down there, this was black, like the shoe, like your shoe. Mm. And it was like a piece of leather, wasn't it? So he gets in there and he starts working right away. And he's digging this out. And he's asking me, does this hurt? Does this hurt? And I keep saying no. And the more I say no, the more scared he gets. Because there's no feelings, you know, I mean, no nerves, no nothing. So he scrapes that out of there. And by this time, well, I mean, it's big. So anyway, I'm admitted to the hospital. And the next day, my doctor comes in and he looks at it. And he says, I've got a friend who is a, what kind of surgeon? Vascular surgeon. I want him to look at you right away. This is about 6 in the morning. Doctor comes in, the surgeon, He looks at it. He says, we're going to the operating room now. He had a full day. The surgeon had a full schedule. But he knew I was an emergency. That's the kind of doctors I've had. They are unbelievable. So he takes me into the operating room, clears his whole schedule, and they start to work. And how long do you think they work? 13 hours. Do you believe that? Steady. It's impossible. Work 13 hours steady, a whole crew. And they finally get this all cleaned out, and what he's trying to do, see, he's trying to get some veins out of here to put in here. Well, I've already had those veins removed once, years ago. So he can't get a vein out of here, so he took one out of here, he took one somewhere else, and then he has like a hose, like a garden hose, but a real thin, like a hose, a little hose. It's an artificial vein. So he's trying to connect that, and it won't connect. But he wouldn't quit. Man, everything under the sun. Finally gets it done. He says, I think I got it. Well, which is great. So I swear to you, I didn't have any pain. I didn't know anything that's going on. It was wonderful. I get back in the room. Kathleen's sitting there all day waiting for me, 13 hours. Unbelievable. What happened was this doctor, who is a good friend of ours, Kathleen said, can I get him in a private room and I'll sleep in the other bed. They have 2 beds in a room. And he fixed it up so she could stay there. And she stayed there every day and every night. Oh my God, it was terrible. So to make the story better than it was, how long do you think she's sitting in there? 29 days. You gonna believe it? She's sitting there 29 days and 29 nights. She went home once to get some clean underwear, but that's about it. Now the important thing about this is, and I would like this to be on tape, because I want to advise people that half of your cure is personal care. A lot of people die because nobody cares. They could live, but nobody cares about them. She was there all the time. And when somebody did something wrong, well, we hopped all over those people. And those people have nobody to look after them for. They're goners. They're goners, I'm telling you. So anyway, we could tell you, you got enough tape? Huh? You got enough tape in here? So I want to tell them the whole story. You tell me when to stop. Okay, so we go through all this baloney, and 29 days, holy mackerel. Finally we go home. Then we go home, right? So it looked like we're doing okay. If you knew what we went through, she had to treat this wound every morning and every night. She had to change the dressings and wash it out with hot salt, or I don't know. And I'm on antibiotics up to my elbows. And she's doing everything the guy says. We have a specialist who treats wounds, right? We have a specialist for antibiotics. We have a specialist for everything under the sun. And her? Yeah, oh well. These are just incidentals of what happened to me. I'm in the hospital and I can't eat. The antibiotic kills your appetite. It's a very strong new type of antibiotic, and you cannot eat. You cannot drink. You cannot stand. If the food is brought in the room, you throw up. That's how bad it is. So I don't eat for 29 days. The doctor keeps saying, if you don't eat, we're going to do something else. I said, well, you better start doing it because I cannot eat. So then he said, okay, I told you. So he's going to take me up to the operating room, and he sticks a thing in my stomach, like a funnel. And they feed me through this thing, fluid. Oh yeah, that's very nice. So anyway, then I've had so many needles stuck into my veins that we can't get any more in. But they have to have blood every 4 hours and whatnot. So then they say, well, now we've got to put something up in here. So then they stick another thing in there that goes right into the vein. Oh boy, that was some operation. So anyway, now they can take the blood in and out without the needle, and I don't have to eat. because I'm getting this. So we take all this stuff home. We're going home. I can't stay there. I got to go home. We take all this stuff home.